everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Cynthia, and today's video we are going to be creating a last little bit of ephemera for these journals that I'm working on. So here I'm just showing you where I'm at with the journals that I was creating. At the time that I'm recording the audio, I am done, but I just wanted to show you a little bit of my process. So here you can see that I started working on assembling the different fabrics that I will be using for the cover, as well as the inside of the cover here. And I've assembled most of my signatures, but there's still lots of work to be done and to try and figure out the best way to assemble everything. And the second journal is a little bit further ahead. I have attached the fabrics to the cover, so I've sewn all around and kind of collaged the different pieces together. And the inside has just a little bit more done, so I have a little pocket that I've created with some vintage wallpaper and a vintage lace trim, as well as I added a little bit more details at the spine. And again, though my pages are not quite done, the signatures are assembled, but I still have some work to do. Sew together some pages and add various little embellishments here and there. But I just wanted to show you kind of my process here. And whenever I work on ephemera for journals, I really like to keep the journals nearby just so that I'm able to refer back to them easily. And here I'm showing you the different pieces of fabrics. They're like remnants from what I've created that I plan on perhaps using for this project today. I have little bits and pieces of essentially all the fabrics that I used in the journals for the covers, as well on the inside. And I'm just hoping to be able to use even more of those scraps. And just a pretty lace. And then the paper at the bottom is a piece of like an atlas, and that is going to be the base for what we're going to be creating today. I also have a few pieces of papers here that I'm keeping nearby just in case I need them. And here's the ephemera we've created so far. Of course, I have videos for these journaling cards as well as the altered envelopes. So if you haven't checked those out, they are in the @C playlist on my channel. And then this is the other parts of ephemera that I created on my own time, and I didn't film it, but it's mainly just journaling cards and envelopes. So some of the journaling cards I've embellished, so I added some little sari silk or chiffon ribbons, little velvet ribbons as well, and embossed papers. And I created a little tuck spot there. I really like this card. That printable is so pretty. That one is from Dust to Roses. And as always, I'll have important links linked down below. And here you have just some simple journaling cards. And then I've also created a few tags. So this one here is created with a library card and some vintage wallpaper that I've collaged onto it. And the two other ones are just some collaged elements. And there's also a little vintage cigar label on there. I love them. And then some envelopes that I've created. So these envelopes, of course, are not finished. I still need to add some things in there and just finalize everything. But this is a first step, and it's always a work in progress, right? It's like a bit of a journey when you create a journal. And here is a little booklet that I've created that will be able to hold quite a bit of ephemera. It has a really pretty printable in the middle of this map, so I've aged that for it to look a little bit older. And there's just like some tuck spots in there. I really love it. It's not quite done, but today what I'd like to create is something along that line of just something special you can open up and that you can fill with some ephemera. So it'll be quite different, but essentially kind of that same wave of idea to a bit of a folder of some sort. So I've selected this piece of a page, I included a piece of that page in one of the journals, so I don't want it to go to waste, of course. And I'm thinking that because it's a little bit of a thicker paper, it'll make a really great base for what we're going to be creating today. And my first step is just trying to figure out how I'm going to be folding it. Because it's going into the journal, I want to make sure that it will fit in the journal, that it's not going to be too wide or too high. So what I'm doing here is just making sure that my dimensions are going to be okay, and just looking at those pages and kind of getting an eye for how big I want this little fold out to be. And so I'm just going to be folding it, of course, and I'm also going to be trimming off one of the sides a little bit, since I just thought it was a little bit too wide. I hope that you're all doing really well. Things are good here. I'm still learning to drive. I actually have a lesson right after, a little bit later today as I'm recording this. And not much else is happening, truly. Where I am, the cases of COVID are not really good, unfortunately, and we're not vaccinating quickly enough, so it's been a little bit demoralizing, but just trying to hang in there and be hopeful. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? And some things sometimes are out of our control, and there's not much we can do about it, truly. So just gotta focus on what we're doing, and I'm just choosing to focus on my craft. So here you see me, I'm about to use my ruler to remove the excess of that page because I don't need it to be that wide. And I always find that using my ruler is the quickest and most efficient way to do that. And I really like the bit of a rougher edge. But do tell me in the comments, how are you doing? Are things just better where you are? Are things opened up? It feels like a never-ending battle over here, so it's it's unfortunate. So here I grabbed a piece of lace that I'd like to include in this project. I really like the size of that lace and just how it looks like this at the front of the folder. So I'm thinking I'm going to include that there, but for now I also need to focus on the inside, and I didn't want to collage all over the map, but I did find that it was a little bit too bright. And sometimes when things are a little bit too bright like that, but I still want to retain the design that's available, I really like to use some tissue paper. And in this case, I'm using some white one, and it just offers that a little bit of like that weight of muting those colors, I guess. And it's like putting a white cast over a picture. So I really like to do that. This way I'm able to really keep all the pretty, but make it a little bit less bright and a little bit less intense, I guess. So I'm just going to use my ruler here to rip the paper accordingly to the size that I want it to. I am going to be making it just a little bit bigger than the paper itself because I really like to see that tissue paper kind of like poking out of the folder, and I really love that look. So of course you don't have to do that, but it's just an idea. now I'm going to be playing with some elements for the inside of the fold out. I'd like to create some sort of pocket as well as a space to journal on, really. So what I'm going to be doing is using a piece of this fabric here, and I'm going to be layering it with some different types of papers. And in that way, I'm just going to be creating kind of like a notepad, I guess, on the inside of it. So what I'll do is I'll sew those pieces all together before I attach them to the inside of the cover. And I'm just trying to be methodical. I'm trying to think ahead and allow myself to put together the pieces and really think of how I'm going to be assembling them and make the best usage of my sewing as well as my gluing, because I don't want to do unnecessary sewing, essentially. So here you see I've just selected 3 pieces of papers. One is a handmade paper. There's also a scrap from a piece of dictionary page, and then this other little textured paper. And I'm just making sure that they're all the right length, and then I'll be assembling those. Now I'm just revisiting that little piece of lace and making sure that that's where I want it before I take this to the sewing machine, which you'll see you'll see the result right here. So what I ended up selecting was just that little piece of dyed, I'm not sure what those are called, maybe like an index card, I guess, perhaps, I don't know. But I just used that to create a pocket, and then I've sewed my little kind of booklet or a notepad on the side there. And of course you can journal in the back as well of it, and you can collage onto it and really create whatever you wish. And once I finish this up, like, I'll be adding some ephemera before, of course, before putting the journals up for sale. And now the only element that's missing is a closure. And I have this really cute little hoop that I want to use. So I'm going to be creating a hole with my crocodile. And then I'm also going to be using, I have these little dots stickers that Brianna sent to me in the mail. And I didn't know what to do with them. And this is something I love. So whenever you do a swap or you agree to send out some happy mail to someone, and you know, sometimes it can be a little worrisome if they don't have the same type of journaling style as you do or whatever it is, but I actually love that because it pushes me to think outside the box and how can I utilize these items that perhaps are used. Like this one is used a little bit more of a modern look. Brianna creates the most beautiful happy mail I've ever seen. If you don't follow her, she's on Instagram as Simpler Things. I'll try and link her down below as well. But anyway, she sent me these stickers and I didn't know what to do with them. She uses them beautifully when she creates little envelopes and tags and whatever she's creating to go with the ephemera that she's including in her happy mail. But then I figured, why don't I just use them as reinforcers for the holes that I create? And this one here is the perfect color to go with this little fold out. So all that to say, I really like to think outside the box and to be challenged to use items that I wouldn't normally pick out for myself. And that's one of the really great things about Happy Mail that I find. And so here my last step is adding this little ribbon here. This ribbon for the most part was like a chiffon, and then in some spots it switches in like almost like a gauze type of fabric, and I thought it was so perfect for this like kind of like at sea type of feeling. It just reminded me of the sea and the fishnets and everything like that. So I thought that would be just the perfect way to use that. So I'm just gonna attach that onto here so that you're able to wrap around and create a little bit of a bow. Now the two pieces of the ribbon are not quite well sewn together, so I am going to pass that through my sewing machine again just to make sure that it doesn't come apart. And that will be it for this little ephemera making. I really hope that you enjoyed it and that perhaps I gave you some ideas on ephemera that you can create for your journals that you're working on, or for your own personal journal. It's always nice to try new things and kind of see where the ephemera can take you. I hope that you're all doing really well, and I will talk to you all in my next one. Thanks so much for joining me today. Bye now.